look at you. You made it. Once again, we're just making this a regular, regimented thing. Just like working out in the gym, just like eating clean. You come here to get enriched with some good game. And I like that. That's good. Anyways, man, you know why you're here. You're here to soak up some game. If I say anything that you feel is relative to your life, anything that you feel like it's helping you, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. I'm gonna take a sip of this green tea. We'll get right into it. That's good shit. Signs of maturity. Signs of maturity. That is the topic today. We're going to talk about signs that you know you've matured. Why am I doing this? Life is about progression and evolution. All right? Everything is about progressing. I used to have very low emotional intelligence when I was younger, in my 20s. And as I matured, as I got older, I kind of got myself out of certain peer groups. And it made me really look in the mirror and say, look, I'm the fucked up one. It ain't nobody else's fault why I am right now. I did this to myself. So, maturity. This is the one thing that'll stick out the most when I say this on this episode. You never truly become a full adult, a complete adult. I don't care if you're 38. I don't care if you're 18. You don't become an adult until the day you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I own up to all of my bullshit. Everything that has happened to me, if somebody did something to me, it's because I allowed them to do that to me. You feel me? Until you can do that, until you can look in the mirror and say, you know what? I am where I am because I put myself here. I'm not blaming my ex-girlfriend. I'm not blaming my ex-boyfriend. I'm not blaming my husband or my wife or my kids or my boss or any of that shit. I'm not blaming white supremacy. I'm blaming myself. I put myself here. That's the day you become an adult. And whether it happened when you're 18 or whether it happened when you're 58. You know. But let's get into it. I got a couple of proverbs. Small talk no longer excites you. Small talk no longer excites you. See, when you're younger, you know, and you don't have a lot of things to really talk about, a lot of people like to do small talk, you know. I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday. We took the DISC test, D-I-S-K, or D-I-S-C test. And I got the architect. I got the DC. And some of the traits of it was, you know, we're very no nonsense. It's a personality test, just like the Myers-Briggs test. On that one, I got the INTJ. So if you know anything about that, look it up. But we're very no nonsense, and we don't like small talk. So if you were once at a point in your life where you didn't mind small talk, but now you're like, you know what? This shit's fucking annoying. Then you're maturing. Number 2, man, I remember this. 10 years ago, you couldn't keep me in the house on a Friday night. Sleep is better than going out on a Friday night. You'd rather be in the crib, sleep, drinking wine with your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or they or them, whatever you into, or your dog or your pet, whatever, or your kids. You'd rather be at home than be out. I'm gonna tell you something. Why I used to go out a whole lot when I was younger is because I was searching for things that weren't there. I was searching because I was lonely. So when you're lonely, you go out a lot. A lot of people may not realize that, but people that go out all the time, and the reason why people tend to go out so much when they're 20s is because they're lonely and they're searching for themselves, or they're searching for a love, a void. You know what I mean? But then at a certain point when you kind of mature and you start to see, like, I'd rather be at home, because you're fine with being at home. You know, your home is supposed to be a place of solace and peace. You don't let anybody in your home that doesn't bring you any peace. You know, me and my wife very rarely invite people to our house. So, sleep, more important than going out. Number 3, Hit that sub button. Go ahead, do it. Takes a second. Number 3. This is a big one. I used to be so spiteful. I used to be like, fuck this motherfucker. I'm going to get over on them. They tried to get over on me. It's mature. It's immature. You forgive more. You forgive people more. And it might not even just be you forgive people more, but you forgive yourself. You might have done some things to yourself that you just feel you feel terrible about. Maybe you did a lot of drugs. Maybe you put yourself in positions where you could have got hurt. Maybe you were living off people and you were useless and you were doing that on purpose because you didn't really have any sense of self-worth. But number 3, you learn to forgive more. If you just tapped in, this is signs of maturity. Number 4, it's another big one for me. If somebody had a different opinion than mine, I'd be like, fuck your opinions. That's just how it was when I was younger. You respect differences. You respect other people's opinions. That's a big one, especially for someone who is very bullheaded, such as myself. I used to, I was one of those type of niggas, fire and brimstone and shit. And I had to realize that everybody's opinion ain't gonna be mine, You gotta accept people for being different. You isolate yourself. This world is so big. There's so many different types of people. And your way might not be what your neighbor does, or the guy across the street, or the guy that you work with for Joan and accounting. But if their difference works for them, if they find any divinity, and it's how I look at it. If you find divinity in what you do in life and it's not hurting anybody, you're not hurting anyone, I respect your difference, So, but I know we live in a world where everything's so polarizing, where people are so ultra left or ultra right wing. I was taught by a very wise man in 12th grade, Mr. Forio. He gave me a lot of good game, my government teacher. He said, never discuss politics nor religion with the average person, especially in this climate, because people are so far left or so far right. It's the primacy effect. The primacy effect is when you stick to what you were taught because it's tradition, even though there's new information stating that what you were taught is wrong. So a lot of people that are not so much wrong, but there's new information that can change. The primacy effect would be basically people that argue about over religion. Someone might be a staunch Jesus-freak Christian, and someone might be a staunch Jewish person. And they have a primacy effect. A lot of tradition is bullshit, man. Just because we were taught certain things, it doesn't mean it's right. So, be a little open. Number 6, you accept heartaches. Man, you accept them. I used to walk around like nothing bothered me, man, when I was a younger dude. I used to walk around ice cold, nothing bothered me, but it did. It did, man. And I think the biggest heartaches I had in my life weren't people I dated. It weren't none of the women I dated. It was more or less friendships. There's no greater heartache than a friendship that didn't go right compared to, I've had situations with women where it's like it didn't work out. And more or less, when I was hurt back then, it was my ego was hurt. It wasn't necessarily my heart. It was just like, I can't believe, young nigga shit. But the greatest heartaches that I've ever had is saying goodbye to people I really gave a fuck about, whether it be an old friendship or someone passing on, dying. You learn to accept heartache. When you're young, you don't want to accept heartache. You want everything to be happy, you know? The next one is you don't judge easily, and that ties into you respect differences. I used to judge people so fucking easily, and even to this day, you know, I talk a lot of shit. So I might see somebody like, look at this motherfucker. And that's something I was just raised to do. It's a bad habit. I got it from my dad. My dad and my uncle, they like to talk shit. So I've been known to judge people easily, and I've gotten to a place in my life now where it's like, who the fuck am I to judge anybody? Seriously. And then I got a couple more. You don't force love. You don't force love. You know, if somebody doesn't love you, fuck them. And I don't mean fuck them like, fuck you, nigga, you ain't shit. I mean like, fuck it. Cool, you don't want to be with me, it's cool. Don't force it. You know, we all will have, I don't care how attractive you think you are. We all will have how much money you have. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how cool you think you are, how fashionable you think you are, how good you fuck, whatever. You can't force somebody to love you. And ladies in particular, I want you to really hear this. You know, a lot of y'all think y'all can change men with your sexual prowess. Maybe if I love him more. You gotta believe when people show you who they are in the very first time you meet them, you gotta believe them. The best thing to do when you first meet somebody, when you don't give a fuck about them, is really, really take them for who they say they are. You feel me? This is another one. Sometimes it's better to be silent than to engage in a fight. I used to be very combative when I was younger. Always had to have the last word. And as I've matured, I've realized, especially in my 30s, where it's just not worth having disagreements or fights with people. For what? Meaningless. So, it's best to be silent than it is to have a terrible fight. And the last one is this. Your happiness does not depend on people. It depends on your inner self. Your happiness, how you feel. I'm saying this especially to my young people, my people in the teenagers in their 20s, or you might be in your 30s or 40s, maybe 50s. Your happiness is not defined by who you're dating. Your happiness is what you feel within yourself. I would tell anybody that is a serial dater, professional boyfriend, professional girlfriend, someone who, as soon as you get out of a relationship, within a couple of months, you're in a new one. There's a lot of y'all like that because you're too afraid to be by yourself. You got to figure it out what it is within you that's causing you to always look to run from yourself. You can't fill that void of inner self-love with somebody else. You can't. You know what I mean? That's reality. Solace, honestly, being by yourself, solitude is one of the most powerful medicines that you can do for yourself. I'm not saying become a hermit, but I am saying that spending time with yourself, because there are people in this world who are complete extroverts, who have to always have a crowd of people around, or always dating somebody, or this and that, because you got things within you that you don't want to deal with. Until you can deal with whatever internal battle you have, whatever civil war that's going on within you, until you can deal with that, until you can realize, you know what, I need to fix this about me and, work on it, have some solace. It's going to hurt in the beginning, man, because if you're not used to being by yourself, it's going to hurt. When I was in my 20s, I always had people around me. Always. I didn't really find true introspection until I got away and I started to be by myself more. I started to leave my phone on Do Not Disturb a lot more. My phone right now lives on Do Not Disturb. So if you ain't in my favorites and you call me and it goes straight to the thing, straight to the voicemail, I don't know. But I learned a good 10 years ago that my happiness was not defined by the people around me, but by my inner self. All right? These are signs of maturity. Thank you for tapping in. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace and love.